Hello everyone, MightyKarlieD back at it again with another video. If you are new here, hi, my name is Carly. I make videos about true crime, conspiracies, and anything else I find interesting. Today we will be talking about Armin Miewes. I believe is how it's pronounced, Miewes. I always want to say Miewes, Armin Miewes, but I know that's not it. That I do know for a fact. I know by now absolutely everyone has covered him. I feel like that anyway. But he's one of the people that really got me into studying true crime stuff. And I haven't made a video about him yet. So here we are. Before we get into it, I do want to say really quickly that some of the sources had facts that didn't match or line up completely correctly. So I'm one person. I tried my best, okay? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Armin's childhood first. Armin was born on December 1st, 1961. His father was a police officer and his mother was described as really just being manipulative. Armin's father was able to save to buy a massive mansion for the family to live in. At this time, it was only the three of them, Armin and his two parents. Armin did have some step-siblings. He had two step-siblings from his father's previous relationship, but they were older at the time, much older than Armin, so by the time they moved into this house, the siblings were already moved out of the picture. One day when Armin was 8, his parents split up. His dad packed a bag and just left. This really hurt Armin. He described the feeling of loneliness and just feeling like his family was falling apart. Because it definitely was, but it also seems like his parents didn't have the best relationship to begin with. His mother even said that the only reason why she had Armin was to try to keep her and the father together. When Armin was about 11 or 12, he started thinking about what it would be like to eat his friends. Never acted on it, obviously, but it was something that did begin to cross his mind. He was also really into the story of Hansel and Gretel because, it does have some cannibalistic tones in it. As an adult, Armin joined the army. He was there for 12 years, and towards the end of it, he relied on alcohol a whole bunch. Because of this, he needed to leave, and Armin had no place to go. So he ended up moving back in with his mom. I think at this point he was about 32 at this time. He also began working as a computer technician, and as I'm sure you can imagine, Armin spent a lot of time online. Armin discovered a lot of pornography and cannibalism related sites that he would often frequent. Remember, this is the mid-90s to like the early 2000s, so the internet was a way different beast back then. Nothing was really monitored like it is today. So there were a lot of these weird sites where people would just like openly talk about cannibalism on forums. Most of these sites were role-playing though, so it was like, oh, I look like this, how would you cook me up, winky face? And people would go in the comments on the forums and post like how they would eat them, His mom was pretty sick and she unfortunately passed away. Armin, instead of being sad by this, Armin was like, I have this mansion to myself now. One of those spare bedrooms, I'm going to turn it into my cannibal dungeon. And that's exactly what he did. In this room, he began staging photo shoots of corpses and posting them online, most notably to the Cannibal Cafe, where he went by Frankie. he would either use like paper mache and set it up to look like a corpse or a piece of corpse. I've also read he befriended a butcher and got parts of like pigs, and would also set those up for his stage photo shoots that he would take pictures of and post online. Now, this was, as I've been saying, the mid-90s, so it doesn't sound like in today, I can't imagine someone posting a paper mache body and it being believable, but digital cameras were so crappy back then, and everything would have been needed to be compressed small to fit online, so I think the crappy photo quality probably made these images more believable. And because he was posting these believable pictures, he kind of gained a bit of a following in the cannibal community, because as I said, a lot of these places were really just like role-playing places, which angered Armin. And he was, out here posting what everyone wanted to do. He was out there living that life. Eventually, just pretending to be a cannibal online wasn't enough for Armin. He needed to take the next step. He wanted to kill and eat someone. He did post on the Cannibal Cafe, one looking for someone that wanted to be eaten. A lot of people responded to it. He had a lot of willing participants. There was one guy that Armin was talking to online that seemed very willing to, be eaten. He actually even went to Armin's house and they talked for a bit, hung out. Armin went over like the process with him, and the guy was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And Armin was like, all right, cool, you can go. And, that was that. And I think just letting him go like that shows that it sounds weird and I hate to say it, but it shows that he really did want someone that was willing and wanted to be killed and eaten. Because if Armin just wanted to murder someone and eat them, he could have already done it instead of just letting him go. One of the other people that Armin was talking to that was a willing participant was, I'm going to butcher his name, Bernd Brandes. I'm sure neither one of that is right, but Armin and Brandes were talking about, Armin killing him, and same thing, Armin invited him over, they talked about it, went through it, and Brandes was into it. This is what he wanted, and Armin was like, okay. There was a specific way that Brandes wanted to be killed, though. What he wanted to happen was for Armin to cut his penis off. He wanted them to eat it and then be killed from there. Armin actually tried biting it off first, but he couldn't do it. So he got a knife and cut it off that way. Oh, Armin did give him like a cocktail of like cough syrup and alcohol. That way he wouldn't be able to feel it, I guess, as badly, but I'm sure he still felt it. So he cut the penis off. Brandes wanted them to share it. It was really tough when they tried eating it raw. Armin was like, let me try cooking it up in some, olive oil and garlic, make it taste good. But Armin burnt it, and he ended up giving it to his dog. After that event, Armin helped Brandes into a bathtub where he bled out. Armin left him alone, give him some peace in his final moments, and he just wanted to read Star Trek by himself, so, just really waited until Brandes was dead. It wasn't taking long enough, though, so they both agreed to just slit the neck and be done with it. essentially. All of this was also filmed, so it was never released, but we know that it was all consensual, okay? That's the most important part, I feel, of this case. We have the footage, we have the email records, we have all of that. Remember how I was talking about the that cannibal room before that he had, the cannibal dungeon? He took the body up to the cannibal dungeon, and he already had some of like those meat hooks that butchers have. He put Brandes up there by his feet and butchered him like you would like a cow or a pig, and he put the meat in bags and put them in his freezer underneath some boxes of pizza. At this point, Armin would take out this guy periodically and said that every time he ate him, he felt like their bond was stronger. They were growing closer each time Armin would eat him, and Armin also felt that like this guy went exactly the way that he wanted to, so never really felt like bad about it. About a year later, he was running low on meat, which sounds also really weird to say. Armin was running low on his human meat and needed someone else. So he went to the Cannibal Cafe and made another post asking if there were any willing participants. And this is where I've heard two different versions of what happens from here. Someone saw that post and immediately contacted police, or I've also heard someone saw his past pictures when looking at that post and thought they looked too real to be faked and called the police. And either way, someone saw what he was doing online and contacted the police and had them, and the police, did go and look into the situation and found the meat in the freezer. Armin was like, yeah, that's a person. He admitted to it, and he is currently serving a life sentence in prison, which I'm sure none of us are really that surprised about. The weird thing about the court case, though, was that they had so much proof through email and video footage that this was all consensual. There were no laws against cannibalism in Germany. So it made for a fairly interesting court case, but he is serving a life in jail. And that is the story of Armin Miewes. We did it, friends. Before I go, I do have a movie suggestion this time for you all, and that is Cannibal. This movie came out in 2006, and it was directed by Marion Dora, who I feel like is most known for Melancholy der Angel, which came out the following year. But this is a German film that is about Armin Miewes. It is a mostly silent film. If you are into that, none of the people in this movie are given names. It's just the man. So even though it is German and you're not one of those people that like reading subtitles or dubbed versions of movies, this movie you'd be able to get away with because there's like no talking in it. It is graphic though, so warning about that if you're sensitive with that, which is totally fine. It's definitely not a movie for everyone, but that movie was banned in Germany because Armin Miewes didn't want a movie like that out there. So yeah, check it out if that sounds like something you're into. Alrighty friends, that is it for today. I hope you liked this video. If you have any ideas or recommendations for future videos, please let me know. If you like what we're doing here, you can buy me a coffee. And until next time, friends, goodbye.